Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like and subscribe so you can see more of the Fly Route podcast. The Miami Heat have a lot of buzz coming around them, and Jimmy Butler has shown that he's kind of a complete player at this point. Do you think Jimmy Butler can lead the Miami Heat to the Eastern Conference Finals?
For me personally,
yeah, go ahead.
I had him at 20. So if Jimmy Butler is the best player on your team, I'm going to say no.
Wow. Yo, Jimmy
I want to see what y'all got to say about that.
I had Jimmy at 17. I'm a Heat fan. He led us to the finals. Now, granted, you know what I'm saying? They were bubble frauds, the Mickey Mouse, Eastern Conference champions, and then to go and get swept, the next year.
They won. Oh,
no,
my bad.
We got swept by but they should have won one at the very least. But they kind of had to prove what they were as far as going into the finals, and Jimmy Butler faded away after being a second team All NBA last year, which I don't think he should have got, but that's neither here nor there. I don't think he played enough games to be second team All NBA. First off, I think when he was on the court, he was an MVP candidate. To me, with COVID and the injury that he sustained, he just wasn't on the court enough for me. I mean, we already talking about 72 games instead of 82. I think he played right at 50. So he just didn't play enough games for me to put him there. But he's very talented, but sometimes, as much as we talk about Jimmy Butler being a dog, he doesn't always bring that dog out of him on the offensive side. Defense,
that's the problem.
Never worried about what he does. But when you ultimately need Jimmy Butler to get a bucket, everybody in the gym knows he can get it. But will he do it is the question sometimes. And so that's my problem with Jimmy Butler. And that's why they got swept by Milwaukee, because when they needed him most, when the game was about to get out of hand, or in game one when he needed to get a bucket to win that game one when it was close and down, it was like Tyler Hero taking shots, Duncan Robinson shooting three, instead of your best player putting the ball in his hands and getting a bucket.
But you've seen him do it a million times. Just like, everybody get out my way. I'm getting to the rim. I'm probably going to get fouled, and I'm bullying people. Jimmy can.
But you've also seen him not.
He can do that. Exactly. And that's my problem with Jimmy. If he's this is our clear number one guy, I just don't see him, being able to lead that team to a championship.
He's also not a one. That's the thing. Jimmy finds himself handling the ball in clutch situations a lot when he's actually a three.
But he's a guard. Right? He's a two guard.
Is he really a two guard, or was no one else around him that guy in the
Jimmy is a menace. That's the kind of player he is. He's a menace on the court.
Hold on. He is a menace, but was Jimmy Butler just the only guy on the last three teams he was on that could have the ball in his hands at that moment? Think about it. He was on the Minnesota Timberwolves. All that was there was Cat. Cat shouldn't have the ball in his hand. He's a center. He went to Philly. We saw what Ben Simmons does with the ball in his hands at that moment. Yep. Now then he went to Miami, and who was the other guy? Goran Dragic? You just said you ain't want Tyler Hero with that ball in his hands. You right.
Dragic is clutch too. Now he does play well in the clutch.
I'm just saying, who else was going? I'm interested to see what happens when Kyle Lowry gets to set up Jimmy Butler.
It needs to be Jimmy, and that's the thing. Like he said, Jimmy is too passive on the offensive end. He needs to be that dog. When it's time for him to show up and say, "Hey, I'm going to take this game over," that needs to be his mentality. But he's too passive on the offensive end.
We talk about guys that need to have someone get them going. Who was ever going to get Jimmy going? Right? So who's going to feed Jimmy the early buckets early, get Jimmy rolling? Jimmy got to get them buckets for himself. Kyle Lowry's there now. That's someone that can feed you them buckets, get you going. That's not something he's ever had before. We talked about it for AD. This one, when Rondo, the difference between AD with and without Rondo is kind of what I'm trying to talk about. Every time AD is on the court with Rondo, he is that top 5 menacing dude that everybody talks about. Rondo just kind of knows how to get him in his pocket, get him the baskets to get AD moving.